Welcome to Fans of the Forge. Today's episode is Season 5, Episode 3, The Sica Sword. I'm Chris. On my right, we have Teresa.
Hello.
And on my left, we have Sean.
That's right.
And they're going to get right into it. First things first, though, I'm going to say we did finally start tallying the points of our picks. And at the end of the episode, we'll have an updated score to see who's in the lead. For this particular episode, we had Gage, who was 19, and he was narcoleptic. He had 7 years full-time experience, and that was mine and Sean's underdog pick. So
He's a sleeper.
he's a sleeper pick.
Sleeper pick.
Sleeper unit.
Sleeper cell.
Sleeper cell, that's what next, we had Frank, who had 4 years of part-time experience. By trade, he was a plumber at a zoo, and he went out of his way to talk about being a plumber in the elephant pens and things like that.
So good luck being a plumber in an elephant pen.
I'm curious to know what plumbing for
It's not
an
like
elephant.
the elephant doesn't have a toilet. It's like they have a hose to hose things down,
well, yeah, but
right?
there's a drain where all that water has to go.
Yeah, but I have to
So-
assume that's like a sewage pipe versus.
You should
just
also assume that it's going to get clogged with a lot of
it's,
stuff.
It's a big elephant. Yeah, it's a lot of
Yeah,
crap.
There's a lot of stuff going in there.
Anyway, that was Teresa's underdog pick. Then we had Corey, who had 1.5 years of part-time experience. He was not sure of his age, and he was a Connecticut baby. So that was one thing that we all kind of have in common with him, I guess, is he was born in Connecticut.
Yeah.
He didn't live there anymore. He lived on a boat, and he showed up with a big bandage on his hand because he had cut his hand on a barnacle previous to coming to the show. So good on ya. Tony had 30 years of part-time experience. We all picked him. He was an ex-Marine, then he was a farrier, then he was a cop, and he was going to be retiring from being a cop, and he was going to be a bladesmith full-time. And when asked what he would do with the $10,000 if he won, he said his wife would let him know. So we'll see
Big
how
surprise. Right, guys.
Hey, wife here who wouldn't control the $10,000.
Not my wife.
So let's get right into round one. There was a big unveiling of what they were going to be using for their medal. They had 50 caliber flintlock single shot black powder trapper pistols. Say that one.
Got it.
3 times fast.
Try to get through it twice.
50 caliber flintlock single shot black powder trapper pistols. Did
Good
it.
job.
Anyway, they had chromium alloy barrels that are known for having oxides on them, and that can cause some major issues when you're trying to weld if you don't clean those oxides off the outside properly. They also had rifling on the inside because it is a gun. It has a barrel, the rifling, that is there to help the bullet shoot straight. It can cause cold shuts when you're going to do your forge welding, or it could cause improper welding when you go to weld it and then have possible delamination. So for this round, there was really, everybody had their issues. Gage was kind of out of his element completely. He couldn't handle getting the barrel flattened out the way he wanted to. He ended up getting a second piece of metal to weld to the barrel so that he could use that as his tang. He had to take a break for a little while, and just because he got overheated, and plus I'm sure it didn't help with whatever medical condition he has that goes along with the narcolepsy. He had to take a break. He had to stop.
He said his medication elevates his heart rate anyway.
That's right.
So
he had to take a break, and he ended up being far behind when he finally came back. The biggest issue ended up coming down to the hardness of the material itself. Tony quenched his 3 times, and Corey actually quenched his twice, and neither time, or any of the times really, were they happy with the hardness once it came out of the quench. The file would just kind of dig right in no matter what. And David Baker actually made a point to say, just because the file was harder than the blade, it doesn't mean that the blade wasn't hard enough to hold an edge. But typically, you're going to see in any of these competitions, you're looking for that file to just skim across the blade without taking any material off. That's how you know you have a hard blade that's going to keep an edge well. So you're kind of on the fence there. If your file is taking material away, then it just might not end up being able to hold the edge that you need it to.
Right.
Yes.
Good job.
Then it's going to be edited like crazy. And so we came down to the judging. The main issues here, Frank, he had a little bit of warp to his blade when he presented it to the judges. Gage was a mess. Everything about his, it was just, there was cracks, there was warps, there was cold shuts, just not looking good.
Yeah, and he quenched really late. He had 3 minutes left, and he was heating his blade up in order to quench it.
Yeah.
So
yeah, not good.
he was struggling.
Corey did have some delamination that was pretty visible, and then Tony didn't really have any issues. They commended him on having done it like textbook job of making a knife from a gun. Like, he did a perfect job. He did everything he needed to do. Even with the hardness issues, he still managed to put a good blade on the table for them. And due to the mess of a blade that he had, Gage got booted, and he was out at the end of round 1.
There goes the underdog picks.
Yeah, that was
For you
our
two.
underdogs.
Mine's still in.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So, round 2. Not a lot happened there in round 2. They just had to put handles on their blades. There were some interesting things that happened where Tony came up with this story, being a Marine, that they would get bored and they would just decide to fight each other and get in a brawl, and it was great. And they would go to what club was it?
E-Club?
The E-Club?
I don't know.
I don't know if that's a Marine thing or something that was local there.
Yeah, we rewound that a couple times and still didn't really get anything out of it besides E-Club.
Yeah.
And he would be like, "Hey, you're missing a tooth." And what do you say? It was awesome.
Yeah, he goes, "It was awesome. It was so awesome." It's like, okay,
All right, buddy.
psychopath.
And then, Corey liked to kind of sing when he's kind of in his zone forging, and then Frank, I think he had his handle finished at this point.
Yeah,
right?
he went through his handle.
Right, he started his
real
handle
quick.
right away. He got the epoxy going, and he had he was on it. So, but he went to fix the warp in his blade, sticks it in a vise, doesn't heat it up at all, and starts bending on it. And I was expecting that thing to break at any second.
Yeah.
But it didn't, and he got most of that warp out, and he was happy with it. I don't know. People do it, and it usually doesn't end well, but they go for it, and he did okay this time. He lucked out.
Yep.
So that brings us to the strength test, which was a butt stock chop 10 times by Ben. So he took, did he go with Corey's first, I think? That doesn't
No,
matter.
I believe it was Frank's first, and then Corey was the one in the middle. Then
No, I think Frank was last.
maybe
That's what I
Tony
thought.
went first then.
No,
Yeah.
I thought Corey
I thought-
was in the middle.
Frank went first because he got that
My
big
notes say.
bend like right off. Like they held it up and it was just womp.
No, I have Tony first.
Oh, okay.
Tony.
He had
first.
some edge deformation.
Yep.
And then it was Corey's turn, and he got a huge roll in his blade.
Oh.
So much, it almost looked like a finger well. And then Frank took a big bend in his blade. And it looked sad. I don't know how to describe it, like other than like a flat noodle that just like you're holding it and it's just
It was bad. Like, you could even tell as soon as Ben did the last hit and then pulled the blade back up, you could
could
tell
see
it
it.
was just bent off to one side.
it was pretty gnarly. So then it went to the sharpness test where they had 10 apples lined up, and he was going to swipe it in each blade across. So we have Tony first, no problem. His deformation, his little, whatever, nicks in his blade, no problem. Okay, then it was Corey's turn, and he only got through like 4. He got through like 1, and then it just went right up the top and took the tops off a couple more. And then Frank, and his pretty much did the same thing. It just went right up, and he only got through 4 of them. His bend just took the blade right up.
Yeah, that was the difference with his. Was that his bend was what caused his issue, whereas Corey's just edge was garbage at that point and just couldn't cut.
It was just gone. So Corey, unfortunately, got the boot.
Yep.
And that's that.
So then we're down to round 3, and my underdog is still in it. The Sica Sword is a gladiator weapon from ancient Rome. It was angled, double-edged, had a guard, and a pommel. So they went back to their home forges where Tony produced this awesome Damascus pattern, and it had a cable going down the center, almost like a serpent going down the middle of this blade.
And he used like 3 other types of steel.
He
with
used,
it.
like 3 steels to make it.
So I think it was the one that made the center thing, and then the 2 other types in the
Yeah.
Damascus. And then Frank went back to his shed, which these guys are talking about getting
Yeah.
their
Yeah,
forge
this
shed.
shed, we're going to build one. We're going to start. Like every time I put that in the description that we're thinking about doing our own, we really are.
This thing was like an 8x8 shed. Like legit, the plain, corrugated steel shed.
And it was a gravel floor in there. It wasn't
Yeah.
even like a
Right.
pad or anything. It was,
Perfect.
yeah.
And true to form, doing kind of unsafe things and knowing about it, he made a wooden quench tank because the one he had didn't fit the bent
Hey.
blade.
But he lined it with aluminum
Yes, he
foil.
did.
So, it's safe. Safety first.
It worked. Yay, Frank. So they went into, brought them back, went to judging, and they both performed really well on really all the tests. The first one was the kill test, where they needed to use the angle part they went at the neck, and both of them decapitated their ballistics guy.
Hashtag Doug Cam.
Doug Cam.
Tony's did outperform Frank's in that when they went for the chest, it went all the way through, got into those ribs, and demolished
It
the
was
guy.
mean. It
Oh,
was
yeah.
mean.
So then they go on to the strength test, which was a shield hack. Ben Abbott, just went for it, and both of them did well. Nothing
No
super
problems
notable
there.
Mm-hmm.
on either. And then the sharpness test was going through sugarcane. Again, both of them passed, but Frank slightly outperformed Tony. However, when they looked at the overall aspects of these, Tony's was just a little bit better constructed, performed better on the kill test. So Tony won.
So
Points for everybody.
points for
Yeah.
everybody. That was an additional point for everybody. So the moment you've all been waiting for.
All these points.
Long
The
awaited.
points we've been talking about this whole time. So that leaves us with current standings. In first place, Teresa with 10 points. Second place, myself with 6 points. And in dead last currently is Sean with 4
Dude,
points.
I don't know why I had to put it like that. man. Come on, man.
And are we going to talk about how 3 of the 4 points came from one guy?
That was a good pick. Hey, that's all I can say, right? That was
Well,
a good pick.
We have another 3 episodes to catch up to the episodes we've already recorded on top of the rest of the season. So we have plenty of episodes to make picks and turn the
Right.
scores around here.
Yeah.
So we're coming for you.
No one's
honey.
safe. I'm coming for you, Chris.
And then me.
You're close.
Yeah, you can easily
Yeah.
me if I really mess up, but alrighty. So that was the episode, Season 5, Episode 3, Sica Sword. Thank you for watching. Remember to subscribe if you like the channel. Leave us a comment. Shout out to whoever the Brotherhood is that's been commenting on some of our videos and giving us some feedback. And thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Hashtag Doug Cam.
Doug Cam.